Hey everybody, it's Jason from the Texas Gun Vault, and once again I'm coming to you with another product review. And the product we have on the table today is another red dot sight. And this is from a company called Aimwin. And the model is the PN320. It's a multiple reticle red dot sight for pistols that uses an RMR footprint. And I know some people are going to ask, where's this made? Yes, it is made in China. But I have to say, based off of the red dots that I have reviewed in the recent past, I've been actually kind of impressed by them. And not everybody in the world can afford a Trijicon or an Aimpoint. Maybe this is just in your budget and you're hoping to find something that's going to work and be durable. So that's what we're here to discover. So let me go ahead and adjust the camera. Let's unbox this red dot. Let's see what it's about, check out its features, and of course take it to the range and make sure it works. So here we have the box. The Aimwin PN320 open reflex sight comes in. I guess that's what the product is going to look like. On this side of the box we have an image of the three different reticles, a red dot, and a circle, and just the circle. And there's all of the information on the back with all of its features. Let's go ahead and open this up. Of course, we get the owner's manual, we get the sight itself, and that looks pretty attractive. I like the way it looks. Definitely looks like it has an RMR footprint. We get a tool. Looks like we get some mounting screws. We get a cleaning cloth as well. And we also have a few things in this box that I'm going to have to dig out. Looks like we have a battery and something else. So I'll have to get that out in just a minute. Let me go ahead and take a closer look first at this sight. We have the adjustments for illumination on the left-hand side, the battery compartment on the right-hand side. And I do like this because right now there's a trend with many optics to have just an internal battery that is just charged externally. But I like the fact you can take the battery out on this one, and it seems the battery compartment is held in by a couple of screws. The finish on it looks nice. The window is big. It looks clear to me. I'm curious if there already is a battery in it. Let me see if I can turn it on. And yes, actually there is one. So they give you an extra battery in the packaging. And I know that dot is not going to look clear on the camera, but in person it is very bright and it has a very good color to it. So I just have to learn about all of its features when it comes to adjusting the reticle. Most likely you'll probably have to hold down one of these buttons to turn it on and off. But also I need to mount it to a pistol. So that's the next thing I'm going to do. So let me go ahead, read the owner's manual. Let me learn about this red dot, mount it to a firearm, and we'll see how it looks. And of course, we'll take it to the range. So I have this Aimwin PN320 all mounted up to my wife's Glock 19 Gen 4. And yes, it is pink, but the reason I chose this pistol for this review is I'm trying to kill two birds with one stone. I also have this really cool slide and barrel into the channel for review from a company called Dira. This is the DY9 Island barrel slide for the Glock Gen 4. And it is cut out for an RMR, which is the footprint this optic uses. Have to say this is a very intuitive sight. The center dot is 2 MOA. The circle, if you use it, is 32 MOA. This sight is specifically designed for pistols. You could use it on a PCC if you wanted, but it's supposed to be durable enough to handle the cycling of the slide. It has 11 brightness settings, 9 daylight levels, and 2 night vision levels, and all you have to do is scroll through those with those buttons right there. You can manually turn it off by holding the down button, and you can go through all of the different reticles by holding the up button. It is constructed from A6061 T6 aluminum and is hard anodized, and that's the finish on it. So right now it looks really good. It seems to be functioning well. The last thing I want to test is to see if the adjustments have clicks. Sometimes these Chinese optics have just a smooth adjustment, but I prefer the ones with the clicks, and we definitely have clicks, and they feel really good for both the elevation and the windage. In fact, those feel really good. So that's all the features and specs of this red dot. So now it's time to get it to the range and start putting it through some tests. Let's just go to the range and let's see if we can first zero this. And the first thing you might notice is now this red dot is attached to a completely different firearm. And that's because when I took my wife's Glock 19 Gen 4 to the range to also review that really interesting slide, we had some issues. And because I want this review to only focus on the red dot, I changed pistols. And I brought my Walther PDP as a backup. And I'm sure glad I did, because I actually discovered something when it comes to its mounting on both pistols that I want to discuss a little bit later. But let's talk about zeroing this first. How did it perform? Well, it actually performed really well. The dot is very clear, the glass is great, it seems to hold zero, and it's very easy to adjust. I also noticed no flickering. So right now it is performing exactly as I would hope it would. So now let's double the distance on this target, and obviously I want to make sure it's still holding zero and I can still shoot a tight group with it. So let's go back to the range and put some more rounds through this Walther and make sure this red dot continues to work well. And it does appear I need to continue to adjust this dot a little bit more at further distances. However, this is the issue I discovered when it came to its mounting. Upon looking at it at the range, I noticed there was a little bit of a gap in the front, even though this is mounted securely. I noticed that compared to the other red dots, the two holes that are normally drilled in the front for those two pegs on the RMR footprint are not as deep. Whenever I have the O-Sight X mounted, it fits flush. When I have a Trijicon RMR on this, it fits flush. But this one, because those holes are not drilled as far, they actually rest on the top of those pegs and do not allow it to be flush or to be fully seated. Therefore, we have a small gap. And this is something I noticed when I tried to mount it to the Glock as well, but I assumed this problem was because it was going on that slide so tight. So it seems like even though the footprint lines up, they need to drill those holes a little bit deeper to allow it to go over those pegs and fit flush on the slide. And because of this, I'm having a difficult time getting it completely zeroed, especially at further distances. So right now, this is the big issue with it. Its functionality is great, but how it mounts might be an issue. All right, so the next test I want to do is go out to 25 yards, which is the furthest distance I have available to me at this range. I'm going to shoot this pistol from the bench and from a rest, and hopefully I'm going to get a good group on the center of the target. I'm going to have to adjust for that awkward zero, though, just a little bit because it is not fitting flush on the slide. So let's go back to the range and see how I do. And the 2 MOA dot on the Aimwin PN320 is the absolute perfect size for an optic like this. I think it's the perfect size for both target and defensive uses. I know that other companies offer red dots as large as 7 MOA, but personally the smaller ones for me are easier to see, especially at the brighter settings, because you are going to get a little bit of flare on them. You might even get a little bit of a tail because of an astigmatism. So 2 MOA is absolutely perfect, very easy to see, very easy to find. All right, so the last test I want to do is do a mag dump with this. Put as many rounds through it as I possibly can now that I know that it is as zeroed as I can possibly make it. And then I'm going to set up the target once more at about 7 yards, shoot it slowly, and see what the best group I can get with it is, and make sure that it's holding zero, the optic is remaining securely mounted to the slide, and of course, make sure it's not flickering. and it seems to be holding 0. I really have no issues with how this optic functions. It seems to be durable. It's not flickering at all, and it seems to be securely mounted to the slide. The only big issue is the fact we have that gap at the front, and I have to use the adjustments all the way up just to get it zeroed. I don't like that. It should be somewhere in between. But I cannot fault it for any functionality issues or problems. It just does what they claim it's going to do. So what are my final thoughts with the Aimwin PN320? Well, it functions well. It seems to be securely mounted to the slide, but once again, we do have that gap in the front on both of the pistols I tried this out on, and I do believe it's because those holes are not drilled far enough in to go over those pegs and let it be flushly mounted, whether that is to the slide or even on one of those Picatinny rail mounts. I'm actually really disappointed in that, and it would be an easy fix for the company. I do like all of the features of this. It seems to have clear glass. I like the size of the 2 MOA dot, but of course the big issue for me is the problem with the footprint. If they would fix that, it would probably be a 5 out of 5 star review. But because it's awkwardly mounted and there's nothing I can do, I have done everything I can. I can't tighten the screws down anymore. And I'm 100% sure when I compare it with other sights like the Osight X, it is the depth of those holes. So on my star system, how would I rate the Aimwin PN320? Well, I'm only going to give it 3 out of 5 stars because it's not mounted correctly, and I can't get it mounted correctly unless I personally file down on the pegs on the footprints of the optics plates or on the milled out slide, which I really don't want to do when every other optic seems to fit flush on it. So let me know your thoughts in the comment section below. Have you ever heard of Aimwin, and have you ever had a mounting problem like this where the footprint is out of spec? So, as always, thanks for watching.